Hello, I'm George Hepworth, Grover Park Consulting. I'm replicating the Northwind Developer Edition template for Access using PowerApps and SQL Server. In this series of videos, I'm documenting various aspects of that project. Today, I want to talk about inventory allocation. An important part of Northwind Developer is the process of allocating products received on a purchase order to open customer orders. In our system, in the Northwind system, products on open orders can be in one of three statuses. If we have enough stock in our warehouse to fill the order, while it is waiting to be shipped out, that stock is in allocated status. Sometimes we don't have enough stock in our warehouse to fill an order. If that happens, we hold that order. That product is indicated in no stock status, meaning we don't have any stock to fill that order. When we receive stock sufficient to fill that order, we'll go ahead and finish processing and sending it out. Sometimes orders have one or more products in on order status. That means we have some stock in our warehouse, but we also have stock on a truck on the way to the warehouse. If an order comes in that exceeds the amount in our warehouse, but is less than the amount in our warehouse plus the amount on a truck on order, then we put that product in on order status and hold it until that truck arrives and we can allocate the stock in it, the stock on that truck to our open order. I'm going to give you an illustration or a demo of that process today. Before I jump into the demo though, I want to thank Kim Young, founder of Access All-Stars and a fellow team member in the group that created the original Access Northwind Developer Edition templates. Kim shared her knowledge and experience with me in preparation for this video. I'm sure she saved me from at least one mistake, and any remaining errors in this video are my own. I also want to acknowledge the other members of the Northwind 2 team who created the original Access template: Tom Van Stiffout, Don Taylor, and George Young. We worked hard, we had fun, and we produced what I think is a great product. The demo. I'm going to explain the demo ahead of time so you'll know what to watch for and the significance of different steps in the process. First, I'm going to create a new product, Peter Peeper's Pickled Peppers. When I create the product, one of the things that happens is there's an automatic initial stock take created. Then, out of the normal sequence of things, I'm going to accept a customer order. This will set up conditions for a no stock status on that product. Next, I will process and receive a purchase order. Receiving purchase orders triggers allocation of stock to open orders, so our initial customer order will go from no stock to allocated. Then I will process a second purchase order, but not take it to the received status. That will set up conditions for an on order status, which will occur in the next customer order. The second customer order will set up the on order status. And finally, I will receive that second purchase order. The process of receiving a purchase order automatically triggers the code which allocates stock to the open order where the product is in on order status. After the demo, I'll give you a look at the workflow in which all of this process occurs. We need to go to Products. Here, I will go straight to adding a new product. Product name. Peter Peeper's Pickled Peppers. This falls into the category of condiments. We need a description. We need quantity per unit. I'll set it up as 12 8-ounce jars per unit. Our unit price will be $36. Unit cost will be $24. Our target level is 60. Oops, I'm sorry, I got off track there. I put $24 for the unit cost, 60 for the reorder quantity. Our target level is 40, and our minimum reorder quantity is 10. With that all together, we'll create the product. We get back a new product ID. And if we look under stock takes, you'll see that the process of creating a new order automatically creates initial stock take with 0 on hand. Now we have a product. Next, we want to create a customer order. Create a new order. Select a customer. I'll pick myself. 1 minute after we created the new product, we've already received an order for that product. We hit the add button to create a new order. We have an order ID. Employee is internet sales. We're ready to create the line items. So we're going to go to condiments and select Peter Peeper's Pickled Peppers. I'm going to order 40. There's no discount available for myself. My orders are taxable. We add the line item. I'm going to select a shipper and a shipping fee. Save those changes. At this point, you'll see Peter Peeper's Pickled Peppers is in no stock status. We haven't yet created or received a purchase order. So let's take our second step. We'll process a purchase order through to receipt, so we do have stock. I'm going to select the vendor, save that initial purchase order. We'll get back again a new purchase order ID. Submitted by is always going to be internet sales. Next, we'll add the product. The system automatically offers 80 as the default reorder quantity. There is a calculation that occurs when I select a product, which indicates how much we need to order to bring us up to our target level. We'll accept that, add the line item, and now we'll submit the purchase order, select an approver, and approve it. Third step is to receive it. When I tell the system that I have received the purchase order, essentially two things happen, two related things happen. The status of the purchase order will change to received, but it will also call the stored procedure to allocate all of the product received on this purchase order to any outstanding open orders. And we do have one order in no stock status. So clicking received processes that. If we go back and look at our order that we just created now, as you just saw, the status is automatically updated to allocated, at which point we can now create an invoice. I'll explain invoices in a later video. I'm going to ship the order, receive payment, and close the order. If we go back and look at our product, we need to find Peter Pieper's pickled peppers. And there is Peter Pieper's pickled peppers. As you saw, when we loaded the product screen, it updated the quantity no stock, which was 40 for our first order. We now have nothing left in open stock and 40 left to sell. Let's look at how we got there. We had a customer order for 40, which preceded our first purchase order. That was the amount here that you saw immediately flash to quantity available to sell. Our purchase order, which we just processed through to receiving, allocated 40 of the 80 units on this purchase order to that no stock order and left 40 in our inventory available to sell. Now we can add a second purchase order. Keep in mind we have 40 left in stock. I'm going to create a second purchase order. Same vendor. Save the record. Get back a new purchase order ID. Add the product. This time, the system offers us a suggested reorder quantity of 10. We already have 40 in stock. Our target level is 40, so we don't really need to order any at all. However, our minimum reorder quantity is 10, so that's what will be offered as the default. Let's go ahead and accept that. We can submit the PO. Select an approver and approve it. This time we won't receive it. So our purchase order is outstanding. We have a quantity of 10 on a truck somewhere between the vendor and our warehouse. Let's create a second customer order. Let's sell it to someone else. This time we'll sell it to Contoso. They're a good customer. Add the record. When we get a valid order ID, we can add the product, which is a condiment, and it'll be Peter Pieper's pickled peppers. Now, we have to think through carefully how we want to order. If we order exactly 50, we have enough in stock available plus our outstanding order to cover that. If we order 40, our available stock will cover that. So let's order 45. That should put us between the amount available and the amount available plus on order. Let's see what happens. As expected, our status now shows on order, reflecting 40 available plus 5 out of the 10 on order. We can't create an invoice or process this order further until we receive that second purchase order. Let's pretend that that's going to happen right away. We'll go back to our purchase orders. We're going to receive this purchase order with a quantity of 10. When we receive the purchase order, it does two things. It updates the status of the purchase order, but it also sets off a second process which allocates all of the product received on this purchase order to our open orders, in this case one order in on order status. Go back to our orders. There's our Contoso order, and at this point it changes to allocated, indicating that that process back in the SQL Server allocated the incoming items on that purchase order to this outstanding on order status order, and when we refreshed that order in our screen, it was automatically updated to allocated. So that's the process overall. I'm going to stop the demo, return to the discussion in the slide deck and walk through the final step with you. What do you need to know about the inventory management process in the Northwind developer demo? Northwind is a demo, deliberately limited in scope. It's not intended to be a turnkey application to go straight into production. I just demoed a significant feature with regard to customer orders and purchase orders, which clearly reflects that demo role. In Northwind, shipping of customer orders and receipt of purchase orders is binary. We ship nothing until we can ship the full quantity ordered for all products on a customer order. This rule also applies to purchase orders received, but I'm going to focus on customer orders primarily here. A held customer order shows one or more products in no stock or in on order status, and I demoed the reasons for that. Partial fulfillment logic, and that is much more typical in today's business environment, would require more complex order fulfillment rules and a lot more code to implement. Although binary treatment is workable, keep in mind that it's not typical of most businesses. Another important consideration is that this template, the Northwind Developers template in Access and in PowerApps, is a single user demo, not a multi-user application. It's single user, so we don't expect concurrency conflicts in customer orders, purchase orders, or inventory allocation. A multi-user production environment would require additional constraints and additional processing in transactions to prevent double allocation or other conflicts. Stock takes. Stock takes are a common practice in all businesses, organizations that carry an inventory. Stock take schedules vary across industries. For example, large retailers like Amazon often have ongoing inventory processes. These are much more complex and dynamic, reflecting the scope and scale of their operations. Large equipment manufacturers like International Harvester may shut down the entire operation for several weeks for a comprehensive annual stock take. This is more comprehensive and formal. Disrupting the business by complete shutdown has a different impact on their operations than it would in a retailer like Amazon, which operates 24/7. Northwind Developer is closer to the second approach. We anticipate periodic stock takes during blackout periods. During a blackout period, Northwind processes no new purchase orders and no new customer orders. And finally, PowerApps runs in the stateless browser environment. The product screen does not show real-time inventory data. It's the inventory as of the moment that screen loads. Calculations based on that data would be reliable. Therefore, our decision was to use data logic in stored procedures. That ensures our calculations occur against real-time data in the server. Let's look at the process. The inventory allocation process relies on 9 stored procedures. Purchase orders advance from new to submitted to approved to received to paid. The stored procedure, which handles that update process, is called update PO status, and it is run each time a purchase order status is advanced. When update PO status advances to received, conditional code in the stored procedure runs the receive purchase order stored procedure. Receive purchase order opens a cursor. Inside the cursor, we allocate each product received in that purchase order to any open orders awaiting that product. They will be held in on order, or no stock status. For each loop of that cursor, we call the stored procedure called allocate inventory. And this is the one that does all of the heavy lifting. Allocate inventory calls a total of 4 other helper stored procedures. The first is product last stock take, date, and quantity on hand. From this stored procedure, we get the last stock take date for the product we're looking at and the quantity on hand in our warehouse as of that stock take date. 2 pieces of our puzzle. Product sold since last stock take tells us how many units of that product were sold since that last stock take date. Product bought since last stock take tells us how many units were bought. Product available tells us how many units are currently sitting in our warehouse as of this moment. Take a step aside here. Inside product available, we run a stored procedure called add new product to stock take. This is an example of defensive coding to ensure correct calculations. Product creation, as we saw in the demo, normally includes a starting stock take. Here, we're simply running this code to ensure that there is in fact a stock take so that the calculation using all of these values doesn't fail. Allocate inventory, when it has gathered the required components of the calculation, then determines whether to allocate this product to an order, and if so, how much. If we run through all of our open orders and we have no open orders looking for this product, then allocate inventory simply puts everything into available to sell. Once we get through that calculation, we check to see if there has been an error. If an error has been raised by any of the steps along the way, we send that error through our custom error message so that we have a user-friendly error message to send back to the user. At that point, we have allocated all of the product on this purchase order that has now been received to any open orders calling for that product. I would take you into a deep dive in some of these stored procedures, but I think that would just become distracting. I would get lost, I would lose you, and it would be more confusing. If you want to look at the code itself, you can go to my GitHub site and download the entire script to create the database and all of the stored procedures in it. So that's inventory allocation. Northwind has, as I've said, a very simple binary model, but it's enough to get you started understanding how to conduct inventory. If you liked what you saw today, please do hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can see the next installment when it comes out. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.